Member of the Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk first to you about what's going on with the IRS. Attorney General Eric Holder is going to appear before the Judiciary Committee in less than 3 hours. What's your number one question for him when it comes to the IRS?
Well, my number one question really is when did he, really looking at this and saying that if this is what happened, it is unacceptable, period. I do think, though, that we have to remember that this is not the first time this has happened in history. As a matter of fact, ironically, I remember a few years ago, it was African-American churches that were targeted by the IRS. And it's unacceptable, period. He needs to get to the bottom of it. He needs to hold people accountable. And if we find that, this has happened, then people need to go.
Sandy Levin, who is the ranking member of the House Ways and Means Committee, was on the Daily Rundown last hour. He was also calling for heads to roll. Let me play that for you.
Sure.
I think there's reason to believe that Mr. Miller should be released of his responsibilities, as well as Ms. Lerner. There was such total mismanagement.
He was referring there, obviously, to acting IRS Chief Stephen Miller and the top IRS official Lois Lerner, for folks who don't know that. Elijah Cummings says laws were probably broken. Do you agree with your colleague?
Well, from what I've heard, I absolutely agree. But again, I do know an investigation is underway. We need to wait to hear what all of the facts are. But if it appears that this is what has happened, then we need to hold people accountable. I have no hesitation with that.
How far do you think the accountability will go? Attorney General Holder has been under fire after it was revealed that the Justice Department obtained those 2 months' worth of phone records from the AP reporters. Reince Priebus, the RNC chairman, is calling for his resignation. But I think the question of how long he plans to stay has been questioned since the president was reelected. Do you believe he's still effective, and could some fingers be pointed at him when we talk about heads rolling?
Well, I do believe that he is still effective, and let me just tell you that I'm glad he has stayed so far. It wouldn't have surprised me if he would have left, considering that every few months he is put under investigation. And as soon as these stories came out yesterday, you have the Republican Party leadership calling for his resignation before we even know what happened here. And so, we had for the first time in U.S. history an attorney general being held in contempt. We were so disgusted by that process that we didn't even participate in the vote. And so the attacks that he has been under from the minute he stepped into the position, I'm surprised that he's actually stayed. I do hope that this doesn't dissuade him from his service.
As you well know, Congresswoman, Eric Holder defended the investigation into the leak, saying it was one of the top 2 or 3 most serious he'd ever seen in his 35-year career, and in fact put American lives at risk. But if it rose to that level, does it make sense to you that the president, that high-level members of the administration weren't briefed on what was being done about it?
Well, I think that that's what we have to see. I do believe a report will be forthcoming, but to speculate now, I think it is just really doesn't do anyone a service. When the Republicans were calling for him to step down, it was before they even knew that he recused himself. He wasn't even a part of the situation. And so I just think that when we have Attorney General Holder come before the Judiciary Committee today, I do hope it's an objective process and it is not just political staging.
Congresswoman Karen Bass, thank you so much. It's always good to have you on the program. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.